questions via chat at the end of the evening. Actually, at the end of the construction cluster presentation, which should be close to 6:30, we'll be able to take chat questions and we'll be able to answer them. And then after the personal services presentation, we'll take chat questions as well. So we'll encourage you to chat the questions. In addition, there'll be a survey that will go out at that time via SurveyMonkey, which you'll be able to obtain the link in the chat. And we encourage you to take that survey so that we can all get a sense of who you are, where you're from, and what you're interested at Greater Lowell Tech. So again, tonight's schedule is first with the construction cluster and secondly with the personal services cluster starting at 7 o'clock. Just to give you a little overview of what we're going to be talking about tonight, it will focus on curriculum, credentials, cooperative education, and careers. So each of our teachers who have joined us tonight will talk a little bit about those topics. So the first department that we're welcoming to tonight's open house is the Carpentry Department. And I understand that Mr. Brown and I believe Mr. Couliard are available. So I'd like to turn it over to them. Mr. Brown?
Hi, how are you tonight?
Good, Mr. Brown. How are you? Can you tell
Good.
us a little bit about the construction cluster?
The Carpentry Program is very diverse. We teach a lot of things from the beginning of their sophomore year, even their freshman year. Freshman year starts out with some small intricate, just learning measurements and tools and things like that. As we go to the sophomore year, we get into house framing, which I don't know if the pictures are up there, but there's
they absolutely are. Yep.
Each individual has their own spot on the floor, and each individual is responsible for building their own house, which is a 4x4 scale of a regular size house. As they move up to junior year, we have a project going on in the back of the school, which is a full-size house that they will be working on, starting with vinyl siding, framing interior, sheetrocking, cabinet installation, floor installation, deck building, roofing, outside trim. Anything that relates to the construction field is covered junior year. As you move on to senior year, halfway through your junior year, I should go back and say that students are eligible to go out on co-op, and co-op would be where the students are able to go work with a real construction company on their shop week, and then they'd be back for their academic week. As you go into your senior year, if you're not on co-op, it gets even further. You do outside work, meaning that Habitat for Humanity, they get to go out and work with their instructor, which would be Mr. Couliard, and they're actually building a house that people are going to be living in. So they get a pretty good hands-on experience from sophomore year all the way up to senior year, everything that they would know and the tools that they would need to enter the real world and go to work in construction.
Mr. Brown, can I ask you a little bit more about the real world of construction and the careers that students could focus on, or graduates that you know and where they work and what they do?
So first thing that we have on our advisory board is the president of the Carpenters Union, New England Carpenters Union. And that is one of the avenues that a lot of students would like to take. So when they get into the Carpenters Union, it's all over New England. Whether you move up to Maine or Vermont or New Hampshire, you'll stay in the same union and you'll work. If you go into Boston and you see all the high rises going up, all the big commercial buildings, that's a lot what the union carpenters would get into. Then there's the private side of working with a person that frames houses for a living. And there's so many different parts of construction that we teach the kids, from sheetrocking, if you do flooring, if you do window installation, if you do siding, roofing. You can own your business in any of these parts of construction.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Brown. We appreciate you taking the time to answer our questions. Can you just talk a little bit about the slides? I see the float from that the Carpentry Department works on in conjunction with other departments. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the float is something that the senior teacher does every year for the parade of lights for Lowell, downtown Lowell. There's a huge parade every year. It's right after Thanksgiving. And so we're responsible for building a float, entering the float. And I'll be honest, the kids really get a kick out of building this float. Not only are they learning carpentry when they're doing it, but they're a part of something that the public's going to see. They get to walk beside the float. Some get to ride on the float. And I think we've won the award many years in a row from the city of Lowell. but that's the float that we're looking at in the picture right now. And Mr. Couillard did this float last year, and it was Charlie Brown theme, and it won the award also.
Great, thank you. It's one of many public projects that we do throughout the region. So thank you, Mr. Brown. We appreciate it. And we're going to shift over to Mr. Jones from the electrical department. Mr. Jones?
Unmuted. All right, now we can talk. Okay.
Hey, Mr. Jones.
All right, there we go. Hi. Good
Tell us
evening,
a little bit
everyone.
about electrical.
Yes, so I want to talk a little bit. I'm going to take my couple minutes to give you an overview of the electrical program and what we do, starting with the exploratory. So when the students usually come in for their exploratory, we'll talk a little bit about what is an apprentice electrician. We'll talk about a journeyman electrician, a master electrician. What does it take? What's the commitment to become a journeyman electrician? From there, we'll move on and we'll teach the exploratory students. We'll give them a little bit of hands-on experience with doing wiring diagrams and blueprints, because this is something we work with every day in the trade. And then from there, we'll move on. We'll do probably 2 to 3 jobs in the exploratory program. And the kids will actually use tools that we use in the trade, and you'll build a couple different things with some low voltage wiring. From there, they'll move on if they like the shop and they get into it. Sophomore year, they get an introduction to 4 different types of wiring methods. The first one is NM cable, which is non-metallic sheath cable, which they have right in their house. Every time they walk in and they charge their phone, they're plugging it into a piece of cable in the wall that's called NM cable. From there, they'll move on to MC cable, which is a metal clad cable, which when they go to the store and they want to go buy a new phone, and they look up in the ceiling, above that ceiling tile, there's a piece of MC cable that's wiring all the lights together. It's something that's used out in the commercial industrial field all the time. From there, they will learn EMT, which stands for electric metallic tubing. If you look around, and I can see in the slide, you'll see some pipes that come down into the top of those panels. That's EMT. So you get an introduction into that. Inside of those conduits is called a THHN. That's the wire that's in there. They will also learn about that. And then they go into PVC, which is a polyvinyl chloride, which is something you would use under the ground. So they get an introduction to all 4 of those sophomore year. From there, they're going to move on to junior year. And we always like to start every year with a refresher. So we'll go back and we'll touch on NM cable, we'll touch on MC cable, we'll touch on the EMT and PVC. And then I'll take it to the next level. So we'll start doing advanced projects with these different types of wiring methods. For instance, if you're running a piece of pipe down a wall and there's a plumbing pipe in the way, well, how do you go over it? Right? You have to learn how to make a 3-point saddle to go over that piece of pipe. And what we're teaching them at this level will be the exact same thing they would learn from the electrical union. If they ever got into the union in Boston, we pretty much teach the same program for pipe bending that they teach in the union. And then towards the end of their junior year, we will introduce them to house wiring. I know Mr. Brown mentioned we have a house outside now. We take them out there. Each week, A and next week, gets to do a side, wire the house from start to finish. From there, moving on to senior year, again, we'll start with a refresher. And then we're going to do, we'll do the outside work. Again, like Mr. Brown mentioned, Habitat for Humanity, different things. And then last year, the end of last year, we got a trainer, which is a low voltage trainer, which is introduction to fire alarm, security, surveillance camera, card access controls. So these are all things the senior year they will start to work with. And from there, we also have a related program where they learn the actual code. That's a whole nother world in itself where they have to learn. So for instance, in their bedroom, how far apart do the outlets have to be? How far apart do the kitchen, on the kitchen counter, do the outlets have to be? So that's the stuff they learn in the electrical relator room, separate from that. And that is a very quick overview of what the program's all about.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones, could you talk a little bit about the co-op opportunities or employers that electrical students go out into the real world of work?
Yes. So for co-op, again, halfway through junior year, you're eligible for co-op. And you would go out and, we can get you a job and place you. So what happens with that is when you go out on co-op, you're getting, instead of coming to school, you're getting to go out and work, and you're making money. So I can talk for myself. When I was a kid at the Greater Lowell Tech, right? I didn't really care for being in school myself. So I got a co-op job, and I really enjoyed going out working every other week and making a living for myself. So the kids now, and I believe minimum wage just went up in Massachusetts, it's a little over $13. So our juniors are going out of school, starting at $13. After 4 years, they get their license, and that brings you up to about 25 to 30. And probably after 6 years, 6 to 7 years in the trade, you're up to $45 an hour. So there is a great opportunity. As far as placement goes, we have a very high placement in the electrical program. So, we usually place, I would say by the end of junior year, we're close to 50% of placement. So we have a very good placement. We have a very good group of co-op employers. And we're also, every year we get 2 scholarships at the end of senior year for the electrical union, which means you don't even have to take the test. You're going to do a little essay for the electrical union, and they're going to take it and they're going to look at it, and then they're going to ask us for also references about how you were, and that'll give you the opportunity to get into the union at no cost. So
Great.
Some great things out there.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Jones, for giving us the overview of the electrical department.
Okay.
Moving on to the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning department, HVAC, I believe is Mr. Gamache and Mr. DeFranzo. Mr. Gamache and Mr. DeFranzo?
Hello.
Hi, Mr. Franzo. How are you tonight?
Not too bad. How are you?
Good. Can you give us an overview of the world of HVAC and tell us a little bit about what a student would accomplish being an HVAC student at Greater Lowell Tech?
Sure. They actually start off in exploratory, just like all the other trades. We kind of go over your basics, and hopefully by the time you get to be a sophomore, you kind of know a little bit about the basic refrigeration cycle. And eventually you kind of, once you get into a little more complicated stuff, we do thermostats, we can do all sorts of control work. There's really no end. We kind of do a lot of electrical. That's kind of a safety issue. We want to make sure that everyone is safe with electricity. We also kind of do a lot of commercial and residential. There's quite a few shops that participate with us out on co-op, a lot of local shops, and we try and get them out there. The shop has been really improving over the last few years, so it's usually pretty full now, but that's pretty much it.
Great. Mr. DeFranzo, can you tell us about the careers that are available for HVAC? Are many employers looking for HVAC technicians?
Yes, there's such a shortage out there. I mean, the average age of an HVAC technician is 55 years old right now. So there's such a shortage. Everybody's looking for us. The pay is very good. You definitely have to work for your money, but you can really make a great living here.
Great. And could you tell us a little bit about some of the new technologies that we're looking at using to expand
Yes,
delivery in HVAC?
Yep, we're trying to put in for a grant to get a bunch of new labs. Our stuff is a little outdated, so we want to be at the top of the line with everybody else and teach the latest and greatest that's out there. In
terms of heating splits and heat pumps?
Yes, heat pumps. There's going to be 24 total, and we're going to have like 4 of each one, and that way we can kind of rotate and have the students go on different ones at different times, depending on what we're going to have for a lab, and then they can kind of work together. So you can have like a recovery doing a heat pump unit together.
So we're going to have a state-of-the-art lab in addition to a lot of what we're doing today.
Correct.
Great. Well, thank you, Mr. Franzo. We appreciate it. Is Mr. Gamache available?
He was texting me trying to log in. I don't know if he was successful.
Okay, I'm not sure. I wanted to make sure he was available if he wanted to share a few words. Okay, thank you, Mr. DeFranzo. We're going to move on to the Masonry Department. Is Mr. Hagan or Mr. Foster available?
Hello, Mr. Foster's here.
Hi, Mr. Foster. How are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So tell us all about the Masonry Department.
Well, masonry, similar to carpentry, as in it's very individualized instruction. Each student has their own work area. They each do their own project each week, new project every week. You know, the freshman program, when you come through, you'll be building a fireplace for exploratory. Co-op opportunities, quite a few. We always have employers looking for kids, always constantly phone calls. It's just a matter of getting them out there. Eligibility is, you know, has to be there. Careers like carpentry, we try to steer them towards the unions, the bricklayers and allied craftsmen unions. They don't hire till you graduate, but there's a lot of work out there. We do send them out with commercial companies, residential companies, concrete, chimneys, fireplaces, stone walls, landscaping, hardscape. There's a lot of jobs out there, and like Tony from HVAC said, there's a shortage of employees, so there's a lot of work.
Can you tell us a little bit about if the pictures that we're looking at? I see a fireplace on the left-hand side, and I see someone working with a level on the right-hand side.
That fireplace on the left, that is the freshman project. When you come through, break up into small groups, 4 or 6 kids, and that's what you build. Start to finish, take it down. Over on the right, that's a student with Mr. Hagan. Like I said, that shows the individualized instruction. That's his project. It's not a shared project. He's doing that all by himself. In the middle there, that's a picture of the MTTA, Massachusetts Trowel Trades Association. That is a competition that is held once a year. We rotate through the technical schools in the state, set up a competition. All the kids get on a bus, go, have a free lunch for the day, get to compete, win prizes, tools, scholarships, or mainly scholarship money. But those are the prizes there. And that's a yearly thing.
So if students out there who are thinking about careers in masonry, what do they think are the most important things they need to know in terms of their skills and their knowledge and what they, you know, what would you want them to know?
I want them to know that it's hard work. It's satisfying work. There's a ton of different avenues you can go from working in an office, would still be an industry, to lugging stones to build a stone wall, and everything in between.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you very much for the overview of the Masonry Department.
Thank you.
I'm sure there'll be some questions as we chat at the end. Thank you.
Okay.
I understand Mr. Doobie's here from the Painting and Design Department.
Yes, I am.
Hi, Mr. Doobie. How are you?
Good, excellent. How is everyone?
We're good. We're good this evening. So tell us about all of the wonderful, colorful experiences that the painting and design students get involved in.
Yeah, we're definitely brushing up on our skills in P&D. So as you can see, these lovely pictures of our students, as I say, it's student-focused, student-centered learning. To the left here, we have some faux finishing, which again, our students compete against other P&D shops in the state. every year. And this is just a recent one prior to the pandemic in the fall of 2018, 2019, somewhere in there. So it's great because that one is, like I said, we get together and it's great to see other students work. Students get to get inspired by each other and to realize what's out in the industry. We also have some guest speakers that come to that, and this was held at Assabet. To the right, we have a great picture of the alternative house. Again, as our students get out into the community, which I think is one of the greatest things that I did when I was in high school in P&D. I really enjoy getting out in the field and showing students giving back to the community. So, you know, it's great to be in school, but it's even better when you're outside of school learning. I think our students do some of the best work when they're outside of school. So talking a little bit about that, again, sophomore year, we definitely, you know, we really focus on the basic skills, hitting upon interior, exterior painting, wall covering, spraying, faux finishing, vinyl. So we really touch upon that. And then, you know, as the junior and senior year goes along, we keep adding another layer to it, you know, a little bit more skill to it. But like I said, in the last few years, we got to work outside, out in the community, which was great.
Great. Can you tell us a little bit about students, graduates, and what they've done in terms of owning businesses or working for companies?
Sure. You know, I have a lot of students over the years, and I've been fortunate enough to be at Greater Lowell Tech for 15 years and seeing students go out and working. But, you know, prior to me being at Greater Lowell Tech, you know, I have a former student that owns her own business. She started her business right outside of, right out the year of high school. We have students that work for employers that are been some of my best employees out in the community. You know, we have a majority of our students are female, which is great. You know, again, we diversify our program, but they're working for the best contractors out in the community, learning the skills that they need to be successful. And it's great too, because again, male or female, students are getting out there to really, like I said, to see professionals doing their craft and learning from them. So, you know, like I said, we've got students out there now. We have a student that just went out to work, actually joined up with the Painters Union this year. So we're very excited about that.
Great. Can you talk a little bit about some of the live work that's been done around Greater Lowell Tech in our school over the years? And I think I can safely say for the construction cluster, every department has contributed to the school culture, climate, and its physical plan in some way. So maybe you could just share with us the contributions P&D has done for us.
Yeah, sure. Well, I like to think of it in the construction cluster all as one, you know, and we really, you know, I work with everybody in all the different fields. P&D's been around the building, as I always said that, you know, it's something I did when I was in high school, sophomore year. You worked around the building, junior and senior year, you helped out. You know, again, as we keep freshening up the building, painting, doing exterior work, outside work, crosswalks, speed bumps. You know, it all fits into what we do in painting and design. So again, if you went to work at UMass Lowell as a painter one, some of those type of jobs that we're doing here at Greater Lowell Tech would really fit into going to working for the state of Massachusetts. Again, you start off as a painter one. So, you know, working, doing vinyl around the building, signs, doors. You know, like I said, we do a lot, you know, and it really shows, and the students really enjoy it. You know, it's something that they take pride in.
Great. Totally agree. You can see it throughout all of the campus, all of the different construction departments' contributions. So thank you, Mr. Doobie.
You're welcome.
Moving on to the plumbing department. But before we jump into the world of plumbing, I just want to open up the chat. So Mr. Harrison and Mr. Gu are going to open up the chat so people can start chatting questions. So we'll take all of your questions about construction and if there's anything else that we can try to answer. as well as there'll be a survey that goes out via chat. So we ask you to take that survey so that we can get a sense of who you are and where you're from and what you're interested in. So I believe Mr. Jones and maybe Mr. Mendonca are here. So tell us about plumbing, Mr. Jones or Mr. Mendonca. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'll just briefly go through the different grade levels that we do. Freshman exploratory. The freshmen get a little bit of hands-on working with the different materials that that the trade has to offer. If they decide that they want to take plumbing, they go into the sophomore shop, which allows them to get an advanced level of working with the materials. Later on, they get to learn a little bit about the different systems that we have, and they do a little bit of work working with that in that area. Usually towards the end of the school year, they'll work with that and basically prep them for their junior year. When they become juniors, it's a little bit more advanced as far as working with the systems. They're actually learning how those systems actually work, as well as putting them together. They become eligible for co-op as long as they're passing midway through their junior year. And as seniors, they get into even further advancement of the plumbing field, working with Mr. Flood around the building, Habitat for Humanity, working on houses. So we also have a great co-op program. We have many employers in the plumbing field that we use and who are always looking for our kids. So we always have a high number of kids on co-op. So the opportunities for our kids is enormous. And as far as working out into the trade through their apprenticeship program, they go through a tier system in the classroom. They'll be able to get classroom study their junior and senior year, in which they'll complete tiers 1 and 2, which means they would not have to do tiers 1 and 2 in night school after they graduate. They would just move on to tiers 3, 4, and 5 afterwards. And it allows them to actually be able to go for their journeyman exam a year earlier than anybody else who does not graduate from a vocational school. So that's a very big part of it for our kids as well.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones, tell us a little bit more about the different career opportunities in working in plumbing, whether it be residential or commercial or both.
Well, the good thing about plumbing is it actually has it actually has broken off over the years into different skill levels. So the greatest thing about it is people think that they're always going to get dirty. They deal with dirty pipes and toilets and stuff like that, but you don't have to do that if you don't want to. If you like to do service work, there are companies out there that just do service work. If you like to do new work, there are companies that like to do only new work, and that's what they specialize in. You have the opportunity to work in commercial if you want to work building things like market baskets or shopping centers or stuff like that. There's a place for you for that. If you like to just snake out drains, there's a place for you for that as well. So there's actually many different areas of the field that you can go into, make a lot of money, and be very successful doing it.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Jones. We appreciate it. I'm sure there'll be some questions about plumbing as we open up the chat. Before we begin, I want to introduce our parent-family liaison, Mr. Ricardo Colunga, who will say a few words in Spanish and Portuguese so that our families who speak Spanish and Portuguese can chat their questions and we can be sure to answer them. Mr. Colunga, are you here?
I am here. Good night, Mr. Barton.
Great. If you could give us a little introduction so that we can make sure everyone can get their questions answered. We'd appreciate it.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Ricardo Colunga. Soy enlace con los padres y las familias en Lowell Technical High School. Hablo portugués, hablo español. Si ustedes se sienten más cómodos utilizando cualquiera de esos dos idiomas. En un momento voy a publicar en el chat mi correo electrónico y con toda confianza, me va a dar mucho gusto. Ricardo Colunga, Parent Liaison, Lowell Technical High School. Eu falo português, se vocês preferem utilizar a língua lusitana, é um prazer trabalhar com vocês. Eu vou publicar o meu endereço no chat. Muito obrigado.
Great.
Thank you, Mr. Barton.
Thank you, Mr. Kalunga. And I also want to mention we have a Khmer speaking translator as well who is not here tonight, but if there are any questions, we can always reach out. You can always reach out to us because we have our email addresses at the end of the presentation.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you again, Mr. Kalunga. A few questions associated with painting and design. So why don't we start there? Does painting and design include interior design? Great question.
I am glad you asked because I wrote some things down here. So yeah, on the interior design, we focus on that junior and senior year. I'm the theory teacher. So senior year, I go heavy with a lot of the interior design. We use the Housing and Interior Design book, which is our latest book out there. We have students that have gone off to, actually we have a student this year that will be graduating from UMass Dartmouth's interior design program. We've had students go to Endicott and Suffolk University. So I'm in touch every fall. We take students out to Day of Design with the colleges so that students get to really see that world. So it's something that we've been working on for the last 5 years now. So.
Great, thank you. Another question about painting and design. What types of projects do freshmen work on during the exploratory or pre-exploratory process or experience?
Is Mike, Mr. Donahue? No?
Nope. One more question about painting and design, Mr. Dubey.
Okay.
What would a freshman experience in,
freshman,
in the
okay.
exploratory?
Yeah, no problem. So what we do is that, again, I'm going to get you doing some basic painting, and then we have a stripe project. So we actually are going to balance out walls. We're doing actually a real life project that would be done in a home or a business. So it's absolutely great to watch students take something and actually put it together. So, you're painting a small booth.
Great. Okay, super. I think we have a question about co-op opportunities in plumbing. So, Mr. Jones, maybe you could go into some additional detail on co-op opportunities and the co-op experience in plumbing.
Like I had said earlier, we have a large number of employers who are always looking for our students. I like to say that if you really want to have a job, there are jobs available for you through the school. So if you're working very hard in the classroom and in the shop, you can be almost assured that you will find a co-op job. I think over the last several years, we've had pretty close to 2/3 to 3/4 of our students out on co-op, and probably could have gotten more had some of them been eligible to go. So our program is an excellent program. The job opportunities, as far as I'm concerned, are one of the best in out of all the trades. And we have very good companies that are looking for students. There are some great employers out there. So there is great opportunity for our students after they graduate from the school, or even as late juniors and seniors.
Okay, great. Mr. Jones, what are some of the companies that employ our students in the co-op industry? or co-op experience?
You talking about the names of the companies?
Yeah, sure. Names. Yep.
Yes, we have Rick Jean Plumbing and Heating, Marcoux, Chandonnet Plumbing and Heating. We have Matco, Drakeit Plumbing and Heating is another one. So that's about all I can think of off the top of my head. Mr. Flood would have a much better idea.
Okay.
Fagundes Plumbing and Heating is another one.
Okay.
So, and some of those are actually former graduates of our school. So we've got some very successful people that have gone through our program.
True. And I'd also like to point out the graduates from the construction cluster, I believe. So if you could hold your hands up, and I'll ask you at the end too, but hold your hand up if you're a graduate from Greater Lowell Technical High School. It's quite a few. Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Welcome.
Question about masonry experience for freshmen. Mr. Foster, could you go into some additional detail on the experience for freshmen? What do freshmen do during the exploratory process?
During the exploratory process, there was a picture in the slide of one of the actual projects.
Mm-hmm.
It is a landscape fireplace. Landscape meaning it has no mortar, no cement in it. It's simply a dry stack unit. But it is working.
I think we're losing you a little bit, Mr. Foster.
Outside, maybe off the side of a patio sort of thing. You can have a fire in it, you can light it. It's pretty involved.
Okay. I think we're having a little
Is Dan
technical
Hagan
glitch.
available to take the question?
Oh, I think,
Hello?
no, I think you answered it. Thank you, Mr. Foster. I just want to switch over to Mr. Gamache. I think Mr. Gamache is here from HVAC, if I'm not mistaken. Is Mr. Gamache here? I thought he was able to join us after all. Doesn't sound like it. Okay.
Just got it. Sorry, I just got a message.
Mr. Gamache, are you here?
Okay.
Mr. Gamache?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I think you wanted to share some additional points about the HVAC experience. Could you?
First of all, I'd like to say that Mr. DeFranzo handled it very well.
Okay.
I was actually supposed to present tonight, so I apologize for that. I did not have access to the microphone.
No problem. Did you want to share anything more about HVAC?
I had some notes. I don't know how much time I have.
Maybe a minute or two would be great.
All right. I just want to let people know that our trade is a very diverse trade that, there's what I like to say to the kids is that you'll never have a day of boredom in our trade. There's always something new to learn. It's an exciting new trade. It's an exciting trade. We're desperate for new help. We're desperate for people to come and join our cause. The average age is 55 for an HVAC technician, which is basically going to, open up a lot of opportunities for students. And right now we're actively looking to purchase some new equipment, some trainers, labs, if you will, that should really enhance our ability to explore this trade. I do have a lot more, but I know we're pressed for time. So
No, okay, no, that covers it, and you reinforced a lot of the things that Mr. DeFranzo mentioned. So thank you very much.
yeah, thank you very much.
Mr. Foster, one more question. When do students learn to pour foundations for decks or pour foundations in masonry, or do they?
Well, we really don't do it as an actual project in the shop, but with the work that goes on outside on the house program that Mr. Brown's from Carpentry spoke about earlier, there's always some kind of foundation work. We have to, matter of fact, pour some pads for him to build his his decks on out back. So we definitely learn about it in the classroom. We don't exactly practice pouring concrete as a shop project because, you know, the obvious reasons we can't dig holes in the shop.
Mhm.
But it is covered in the classroom.
Okay, great. Thank you. Question about licensure in the field. One of our parents wants to know, do any of the students graduate with a license in the field? And if not, what are the hours that they might acquire toward licensure? And I know there are several licensure shops here. So who wants to tackle that? Mr. Jones or Mr. Gamache or
I'll put my 2
Jones?
cents in.
Tell us about the road toward licensure in electrical.
All right, so I'll speak for electrical. So the road towards, you need, so this is what you need, and then I'll tell you what you get at Greater Lowell. So on the book side of it, on the code side of it, you need 600 hours. And then on the working side, you need 8,000 hours, which equals 4 years. So for instance, if you went to Lowell High or Drake High or Tingsboro High, and then you decide you wanted to be an electrician, you would have to go to night school for 600 hours, and you would have to work in the trade for 8,000 to be able to go for your journeyman license. If you come to Greater Lowell and you take the electrical program, by the time you graduate, you will have 300 hours of related. So you already got half your schooling cut in half. You get 300 hours. And that's also a cost savings of $1,200 because each class runs in a block of 150 hours, and each class costs about 600. So you're leaving the school with 300 hours and a cost savings of 1,200 right there. And then depending on if you go on co-op or you're not, you could have anywhere from 1,600 hours, roughly 1,800 hours towards your 8,000 hour electrical license. So, so you are getting a great advantage. And when you graduate, it's a lot easier to get a job. So say we have students in the electrical program that want to play sports, and sometimes we can't find an employer that will work with the sports. They might play several different sports, but it doesn't hurt them from getting a job when they graduate because they have experience. They're not what you call green. They're not just graduating from a high school with no experience. So, you know, it really makes a difference. And as far as, like I was talking earlier about money, you know, it really helps then too, because you're walking out the door with experience. So they're going to give you a couple of dollars more than a kid from a different high school that knows nothing. The other nice thing is we also find that we might have students that might want to try the military, right? So they go into the military, they give that a shot, they get back out of after their 4 years. And again, because they have a construction background, very easy for them to get a job in a construction field. So what you learn at Greater Lowell in the skilled trades is with you for the rest of your life. It's
Okay, great. Thank you. Mr. Gamache or Mr. DeFranzo, did you want to talk about the road or the process for acquiring hours in licensure for HVAC?
I can speak about that a little bit.
Sure.
In the course we do, the kids do, I was actually just trying to type it into the text. The kids do earn several different aspects of it. They earn electrical code hours toward their license. They earn HVAC theory toward their license, and they earn, I believe it's 1,750 or 2,000 hours toward their license of actual hands-on work. They do earn a 608 certification. It's a test-based certification required to handle refrigerant, and we try to do that somewhere around this junior year, sorry. And that allows them to work for a co-op job, and hopefully, you know, that's actually something a little positive that can help them earn that job. A lot of employers want to see somebody have their 608 certification, so they know they can handle and purchase and refrigeration. So it's basically earning hours toward their license and the certification. Obviously, they get their OSHA, which is required by most employers now as well.
Great, thank you. And I believe the licensure shop, where plumbing is obviously a licensure shop. So, Mr. Jones, can you talk a little bit about hours and the path toward licensure?
Sure. The work experience for plumbers, in order to become eligible to take the journeyman exam, you need 8,500 hours. That takes 5 years to do, because you are only allowed up to 1,700 hours per year. So it takes 5 years to do that. It also requires that you have to go through 550 hours of classroom training. And the good thing about going to a vocational school is you actually knock off 220 hours. Each tier is 110 hours. You have to go through 5 of them to get the 550 hours. By coming to Greater Lowell Tech, you actually get certified through 2 tiers. So when you actually begin your night school process, if you stay in the trade, you would begin at tier 3. You are allowed to get up to 1,700 hours of work experience graduating from a vocational school. So if a student goes on co-op, especially in the middle of their junior year, they will easily get the 1,700 hours for that one full year. So they can actually become eligible to take the test 4 years out of high school, where anybody that did not graduate from a vocational school would have to get it done in 5.
Okay, great. We have a question about tools. And I think the general answer is we provide tools. The question is, do we provide tools for students, or do they have to bring their own? Maybe you can just chime in there. I think the general consensus is that we provide them, but
In the electrical program, we only provide them for exploratory. At the end of the exploratory, if they get picked for the shop, they get a tool list at the end of the freshman year, or the tools they need when they come back in as a sophomore. And then junior year, they have to, there's another list that actually adds to the sophomore list. So they only get tools to work with as a freshman. That's it.
right. Right. And I think in general, if we do provide tools for students, and if students are in need of tools, we can find ways of getting them, supporting them, or acquiring them for them. We have a question about exploratory. So I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Martinez, who can talk a little bit about just what exploratory is and the basics of it. It was my fault.
Good evening. My name is Lisa Martinez, and I actually just in the chat, I mentioned that currently this year, all 9th grade students explore 14 of our technical programs of our shops. So from year to year, it's 14 to 18 programs. So when you first become a student at Greater Lowell Technical High School in the 9th grade, you would do a 2-week period where you would go through our pre-exploratory, which is an overview of all 23 programs. And then when you register, once you're accepted to Greater Lowell, you would register online. And what would happen is you would choose the program in rank order of the program, of the technical programs that you want to explore. So you will go through the rotations, and then at the end of term 3, you'll make a selection of your top 4 in rank order of the shop that you would like to major in for the remainder of your time here at Greater Lowell Technical High School. So that's how you would choose your exploratory.
Great, thank you. And there was a question about eligibility for co-op. In general terms, eligibility for co-op is a combination of conduct, grade, attendance. So, and there's specifics regarding that, as well as the opportunity to the co-op employer and their ability to hire us. So those are really the general requirements for co-op opportunities: the availability of a job, as well as conduct, behavior, and attendance. Before I think we covered all of the questions here. Oh, we have one new message. Are we going to talk about early childhood education? Yes, in our next segment at 7 o'clock, we'll be talking about early childhood education. I'm not sure if Mr. Couliard wanted to share a few words, so I'm going to unmute Mr. Couliard. Mr. Couliard, did you want to add something to carpentry?
I just wanted to make a quick comment about the tools. So, and I did type a message, but I thought I'd just share it. We do require that the student have a basic set of hand tools and their own tool belt when they come into the program. We provide a lot of tools and tooling, all portable tools and stationary power equipment and everything like that is provided. But we do like for our students to have their own set of tools in the tool belt. So I wanted to add in there.
Great, thank you. I think if there aren't any other questions at this time, I don't think there are. Did we miss any? Mr. Versalone? We covered all the questions. Okay, so I'm going to ask Mr. Harrison if he could let us see all of the members of the carpentry department so we can have them, I'm sorry, the construction cluster, and we can get to know them, and I can actually ask to point out the graduates as well. So we just need, I think, a gallery view of the screen. So if Mr. Harrison can help us with that, that would be great. Super. So as far as the graduates of Greater Lowell Tech from the construction cluster, can you just show us your hands and wave to us? As you can see, there's quite a few. There's several people on my screen, so I'm going to be able to point out. Hold your hands up so I can see. Mr. Jones from electrical, Mr. Jones from plumbing, Mr. Couliard, Mr. Flood, Mr. Hagan, Mr. Gamache, Mr. Mendonca, and I want to, Emily's from the next segment, but we'll introduce her in a moment. All right, thank you. And everybody who's from the construction cluster can give us sort of a salute and wave. All right, now you can put the names to the faces. All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. Have a wonderful evening, and thank you very much.
So we can't unmute them to say hi. Okay.
So our next segment is going to be the personal services department, and rather the personal services cluster. So
You have 5 minutes.
we have about 3 minutes before 7 o'clock, and we'll introduce them in just a few minutes. So if you don't mind, if you haven't taken the survey yet, please take the survey, and we can start.
I can't join now. I can tell nobody wants me in here.
Let's just wait 1 or 2 minutes before we get started with the personal services cluster. Okay, I just want to welcome the members of the personal services department. So we're moving on to our second segment of tonight's presentation, which is the personal services department, which includes the cosmetology department, the culinary arts department, the early childhood education department, hospitality, and marketing. So I believe our first department is cosmetology with Miss Duarte. So is Ms. Duarte on the line so we can hear from her about the cosmetology department? I think we just have to unmute her. Oh, perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent.
Can you hear me? Yes.
And yes.
Okay, great. Hi, yes, so my name is Cheryl Duart, and I am the senior cosmetology instructor for Greater Lowell. Cosmetology is a wonderful career, always changing, never boring. We have many things to offer our students. I don't know if we're going to start off with questions, or should I just continue about, talking about the department?
Yes, please just tell us about the department and tell us about what the experience of being a cosmetology student is all about.
Oh, okay. Okay, so basically when the students come into the cosmetology department, they start earning hours for the state board. The state board of Massachusetts requires that the students achieve 1,000 hours to complete the cosmetology program. And they start earning those hours at the age of 15. So basically when they're usually about the end of the freshman year into midway of the sophomore year, depending on the birth date, they start to accrue those hours. Once the 1,000 hours are reached, then they actually, we prepare them to go and take their state board exam, a practical exam and a written exam. And from there, they earn their license and then they can get out on co-op. We have many co-op opportunities available for our students as well.
Where, Mr. Duarte, where do they go out on co-op? What are some names of some of the employers?
So yeah, so some of the salons that we have partnerships with in our area are, Supercuts, Fantastic Sam's. We have Eiffel Beauty in Lowell, Serenity Salon in Tingsboro. We also, for people that like to specialize, say in like nail care and want to go into manicuring, one of our advisory board members owns a salon in Methuen called VIP Nails, and she, has employed some of our kids for co-op as well. And again, Serenity Salon, they are a full service salon. So somebody that wants to go into skincare can work there, hair or nails. So we have many partnerships in this area.
Great. And can you tell us a little bit about the road to licensure? In our last segment with the construction cluster, there were a lot of questions about licensure, and maybe you could talk about
Yeah, definitely.
high success rate for students acquiring their hours and license.
Okay, sure. Yeah, so basically our program consists of, from introductory to advanced instruction. At each different level, the students are taught different things. So our curriculum is sort of spread out, between the begins late in the freshman year and goes right into sophomore, junior, senior year. They'll learn all aspects of hair, skin, and nails. So basic, like hair cutting, hair coloring, blow drying. Foundational things are learned in the early segments, like the freshman and the sophomore year. Junior level, they start getting into a little bit more advanced things, multiple haircuts, different types of styling techniques, European facials, extractions, microdermabrasion. We do some things like special effects makeup, regular makeup applications, facial waxings, things like that. So senior year is basically to reinforce everything that they've learned in the prior years and to really focus on being able to get out and be ready for that state board exam. So again, once the student has reached 1,000 hours, we help them set up the appointment to go to the state board. They take a practical exam, which is all hands-on. It consists of, I think, 14 to 16 different tasks that they have to perform on a model. From there, they go into a computer room where they have to sit and they have to take a 120 question written exam. So during our time at Greater Lowell with the students, during their class week, they'll actually go into theory for one of the periods that they have per day, actually 2 periods per day. So they earn hours in that as well. And that's where they learn like the cosmetology sciences, such as like math. There's certain aspects of mathematics, chemistry, anatomy, physiology, histology, things like that. So it's not all about just playing with hair. There's a lot of theory and, book work to learn with this department as well. So.
Okay. So different than some of the previous shops in the construction cluster, you're saying that you can acquire your license by the time you graduate.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, we actually, you can have a few credentials. So one of the most important things I think that I like to explain, especially on open house night, is Most people don't realize that when a student graduates from Greater Lowell in the cosmetology department, they have all of the credentials and all of the hours that they need to be able to go get their license. So there's no need to go into like a post-secondary school, you know, and pay upwards of $17,000 for the same exact curriculum that our students are getting with us. For minimal kit costs. So yes, so they'll have everything they need. Some of the credentials that we actually do provide our students is not only, you know, of course they get their cosmetology license. They're also OSHA certified, which is huge for employment. They're barbicide. This year, especially, we did the COVID-19 certification through the barbicide sanitation and disinfection, you know, that program. Also, outside vendors come in sometimes. Obviously, you know, now it's COVID, so we have to wait a little bit, but we actually have them get a certificate in, you know, certain artificial nail enhancements and sometimes special effects makeup, you know, so we do bring in outside vendors for different things. So we try to get them as many certifications as well as their license to just help them with the employment process.
Great. And for, I know we have our senior shears shop, or salon. So can you tell us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically at the junior and senior level, we've just kind of combined this, that now we're able to take outside clients. Of course, again, pre-COVID, hopefully it won't take too much longer now for us to get back to normal, but this is actually a functioning salon that the students all run. And we take outside clients, they call in, make appointments. The students make the appointments through the computer.
Oh, Ms. Duarte froze for a bit. Can you still hear us? Ms. Duarte? Oh. Okay, so I think we have a little technical difficulty there. We'll come back to Ms. Duarte to talk a little bit more about the senior shears, and I also wanted to ask her about the pictures here. Ms. Duarte, are you there?
They are responsible for, you know, doing all the services and
okay. So thank you very much, Ms. Duarte. I'm going to probably come back and ask you about the pictures here as we move along. We're going to shift over to the Culinary Arts Department, where we have Mr. Matalonis, who might be able to tell us about the pictures that we're looking at here. Let's start off with the pictures, Mr. Matalonis.
Yes, good evening. Hello, everyone. My name is Mr. Matalonis. I'm the junior culinary arts instructor. So in these pictures, we see the commercial kitchen, one of them. We have several, and the students get live.
Mr. Matalonis, I'm wondering if you can just get a little closer to the microphone that you're speaking into.
Okay, yeah.
Much better.
Is that better?
Terrific. This is perfect.
Okay. Yeah, they get a lot of hands-on experience because we have a live restaurant and cafe. The Artisan is the restaurant. It's a commercial style kitchen, so they learn everything from front of the house to back of the house. Starting off an exploratory, they get a little hands-on introduction to food safety handling, some little bit of knife skills in preparation for their sophomore year. That's when they begin to explore the front of the house, where they learn the POS system. They learn the dining service aspect of the restaurant, everything from buffets, a la carte, catering, to go, anything that has to do with food, pretty much. And then we also have a cafe where they do maybe light breakfast and cookies, pastries, smaller items more quickly, I guess, than an a la carte restaurant, as you could say. Baking is done junior year, where they get an introduction to breads, pizzas. They do a lot of catering. They get a lot of experience with high production at that point in their state. And then eventually they move on to their senior year. But before they do, they've also had plenty of certifications such as the Serve Safe Food Handler, the OSHA 10 card, which is a safety card that they can use if they want to go into co-op. That's one of the prerequisites for co-op. And all those things are necessary to be successful to enter the workforce at an early age that only the Greater Lowell Tech students get the opportunity to do. So once they've got into their senior year, they're still working either in the restaurant or they're on co-op at that point. And a lot of our students have had an opportunity to get into the community, working in big corporations like Aramark, UMass Lowell, things like that, or even smaller restaurants and country clubs in the community.
Mr. Matalonis, you talked about the artisan restaurant where the general public can come in and dine, and we also have the Culinary Cafe. Could you talk a little bit about what types of dishes students prepare? So they prepare the meals, they serve the meals, they work in the front of the house, in the back of the house, but what are some of the meals and some of the foods that students learn to prepare?
Well, we have a lot of seasonal items. We'll do seasonal buffets. We have a set a la carte menu typically for the year, where they learn American fare, local Massachusetts fare. We like to source a lot of our products locally. Fish and chips, burgers. We also have steaks, pizzas. Sometimes when we do buffets, we'll do a themed buffet, Italian, maybe Greek. There's always a time in the year, Thanksgiving or St. Patrick's Day buffets are always popular. We also do a Super Bowl buffet, which is very popular with the teachers because they can really put on the calories if they like. We don't shy away from that either. So we give the opportunity to kids to explore all the different diverse we also have them do their own buffets where they can incorporate their own ideas and build their own style or whatever whatever background that they have, that we incorporate that into their ideas for buffets as well.
And how about the bakery? I see we're looking at some pictures of the bakery. Could you talk a little bit about our bakery or the items from the bakery that we create?
Yeah, we run through basic breads all the way into quick breads, muffins, and then we get into more advanced laminated doughs, pastries, cakes, desserts, patty choux, all the items you would expect to find in a bakery locally. And, we provide dinner rolls every day for the artisan, pizzas for the cafe. So they get a comprehensive background from, everything from a basic bread to a fine dining dessert.
Great. Thank you very much for the overview of the Culinary Arts Department. I think we're going to shift over to the Early Childhood Education Department at this time. Is Miss O'Hare and Miss Willie available or here?
Yes.
Hi, Miss O'Hare. How are you tonight?
Good. How are you?
Good. Tell us about our Early Childhood Education Program.
Wow, early childhood. Well, right now, as long as there is an increase in the need for childcare for children, we are going to continue to be probably one of the most demand fields for a while. So many people need childcare and they need quality childcare, and that's what we're all about. So Early childhood at our school basically is a great shop for so many different career pathways. Basically, if you have any kind of passion whatsoever in working with young children, and when I say young, I mean probably from birth to age 9, then you probably should consider early childhood education. It could be the field for you. Most traditionally, students that go into early childhood are looking at a career path in teaching, childcare, recreation with children, or maybe even social work. And some of the jobs that our students will go into when they graduate are most traditionally preschool teaching, kindergarten teacher, elementary teacher, special education teacher. They might go into psychology, social work. The list goes on, and certainly child care director. We prepare students to work as soon as they graduate from Greater Lowell Tech. They can obtain an entry-level position in the field at one of our many local child care centers or preschools in the Greater Lowell area. However, they don't have to stop there. We have quite a number of students that go on to college to study early childhood or a related teaching career, and they will prepare for a license as a public school teacher with college education. So that's a little bit about the career pathways in this field.
Could you tell us a little bit about the actual preschool that we have on site?
I think I'd like to refer that to my colleague, Miss Willie, who is working in the preschool as our shop instructor.
Miss Willie.
Yes.
How are you?
Hi. Good. So our shop for early childhood is a live preschool where we serve up to 20 3, 4, and 5-year-old children each day. It is mainly run by our junior shop students, and the sophomores have a little bit of an introduction into the preschool. The juniors are running the show and planning curriculum and teaching lessons and morning meetings. And then our senior shop is our students who go out on co-op. So we have tons of partnerships with local preschools and daycare centers. And we have usually more co-op opportunities than we have students to.
Oh, I think we lost her audio. Oh, I think we lost Miss Willie's audio. Oh, no, I think you're back.
Oh, my back.
Yep, you're back.
Where did I leave off?
Co-op opportunities at different preschools in the area.
Okay, so I was just touching upon our certifications for the students. So by the time they leave our program, they have enough experience and hours to have obtained a certification from the Mass Department of Early Education and Care as a teacher. So this allows them to go to work right into a preschool or a daycare center and have their own classroom as a teacher. They also are certified in CPR and first aid and in OSHA. Students who choose to work with infant and toddlers during their senior year get a dual certification. So they'll be preschool certified and infant toddler certified. So.
Great, thank you. Could you tell us a little bit about the pictures that we're looking at on the screen?
Sure. So these are our high school students who are, like I said, mostly juniors, and they're working directly with the preschool children. These are lessons that they have planned on their own. So the top one, the children are at a table and there's actually paint, white paint inside rubber gloves. And this was farm week. And so they were practicing milking cows in that picture. And then down at the bottom, they're doing a math activity with the high school students are doing a math activity with the children. We practice all basic skills in the preschool, pre-literacy skills, pre-math skills. And then over on the right is our fall festival celebration. So the children come in on Halloween and they dress up, and our high school.
Oh, I think we lost you again as far as audio go. I think we lost your audio one more time. Oh, are you back? Ooh, I think we lost Miss Willie. Okay, well, thank you, Miss O'Hare, and thank you, Miss Willie, for the overview of the Early Childhood Education Department. Okay, I think we're going to shift over to Ms. Graposo and Mr. Ryan in hospitality. Mr. Ryan and Ms. Graposo?
Yes, I think my video is stopped. Can you unlock that mic?
I can try to. I think you should be able to turn on your video at this point.
Yes, perfect. There we go. Okay, hi everybody. I'm excited to talk to you about the hospitality industry and how it could be a good fit for you and what we do at Greater Lowell Tech. So under our umbrella, hospitality consists of food and beverage, hotels, travel and tourism, even event management, and you could even work on a cruise ship or an airplane if you'd like. So sky's the limit, literally. We do have a bunch of different jobs students do at Greater Lowell Tech. We run the school restaurant, which is called The Artisan, and that's a restaurant that's open to the public. So we do have live guests that come in, and we're able to feed them meals and practice our customer service skills. We also have a hotel that we work with in Nashua. We have a great partnership with them, and they allow our students to actually work in the hotel. And I bring them there from the school, and we leave right in the morning, come back right before the bell. And they have a full day of work in the hotel where they get to rotate through different departments. So for example, the front desk, where they're able to check guests in and give them that exceptional customer service experience that the guests are looking for. They also get to work in housekeeping. And that's very important in today's world, keeping the hotel and the guest rooms clean, so cleanliness. And also they can work in food and beverage. We've set up weddings. We've done numerous events at the hotel, and our students are very proud of the work they get to do. They also get to work in what's called human resources, so kind of a little bit more behind the scenes. So we are mostly front of the house with a few jobs that are behind the scenes. So you have accounting and human resources, but predominantly it's front of the house. So, front desk, food and beverage, even sales and banquet management. And we really do think that our students can become managers, and we train them to be. Our textbooks are actually, designed to get them ready for hospitality management. So yeah, it's a great shop, and my co-teacher Dan Ryan and I love teaching it, and our students really have a great time. As long as you like people and you genuinely want them to be happy, I mean, that's what we're all about. So we're hospitality, and yeah, a little bit about co-op I'll talk about real quick, and then I'll turn it over to Dan. So co-op for our students, there's lots of restaurants in the area, lots of hotels, so really tons of opportunity there. We have had students work at Aramark before. They could work for Marriott, Hilton, also Cracker Barrel and Chili's. So there's a lot of opportunity.
Oh, I think we lost Ms. Graposo's audio. Oh, okay. I think Mr. Ryan's here to pick up. Mr. Ryan?
Hey, there's no right or wrong answer there. Oh, sorry, where did I leave off?
We just missed you a little bit about co-op opportunities.
Yes, absolutely.
Right about in the middle. If you just pick up, and then we'll head over to Mr. Ryan.
Yes, definitely. So co-op opportunities, you can work for Aramark, Marriott, Hilton, other restaurants in the area like Cracker Barrel and Chili's. So there's a lot of opportunity for our students where you can get those entry-level jobs during co-op and actually climb the ladder within those companies after you establish a great relationship with them. So it's very exciting, and Mr. Ryan and I love teaching our shop, and yeah, I'll turn it over to Mr. Ryan.
Great. Mr. Ryan? Mr. Ryan, you're unmuted, so I think you should be able to talk. Oh, we lost you. Mr. Ryan?
How you doing?
Yep, good. We can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I'm Mr. Ryan, one of the other teachers in the hospitality program. We start off as with the freshman program, trying to explain to students what hospitality is. So a lot of people think we're part of the medical industry, and we have to explain to them that we're actually part of the service industry. We have a lot of different segments that fit into our industry. We have the hotel and lodging industry, food and beverage, events and banquets. We do recreation and entertainment, and we also have the travel and tourism industry. So in our industry, like Mr. Capozzo told you, our shops are live shops. So we have to get our students in the sophomore year with the concept of customer service and what customers mean to us up to speed pretty quickly. We're lucky in that we do have some places that allow us to have our students develop some of the skills that they need to develop into great managers. The sophomore year, we focus more on the food and beverage side of the industry. Students will focus on food sanitation and safety. We look at purchasing and receiving. We look at banquets and events and how restaurants operate. And
We lost the audio. Well, Mr. Ryan, I think we lost your audio. I don't know why that keeps happening. Okay, well, I think we're gonna thank you. Oh, go.
Is it bouncing in and out?
A little bit, you're back.
Okay. We focus on the front desk, housekeeping, and we start looking at some of the procedures they would do as managers. So students would learn how to do payroll, they learn how to do financing, they do schedules, a lot of the operational things you would do with a company. In the senior year, we're really focusing more on leadership styles and management styles and who this person is going to be as a manager and which career path they're going to take. So we look more into ethical practices, we look at laws, we look at how companies put together their organizational structure, and we look at their procedures that they would do with like policies. The goal of the program is to get students to be critical thinkers that can really adapt well in all different scenarios, because in our industry, it's an ever-changing industry, and you have to be able to adapt pretty quickly when you need to.
So there's worldwide opportunities if one comes out of the hospitality field.
Yeah, there's literally thousands of jobs all around the world. I often tell students, if you don't like the weather here, you want to live in a Caribbean island, there's plenty of opportunities there. And
Okay.
many people in our industry jump from one industry to another because there's a lot of interchangeable skills that will allow you to adapt to other things when your life changes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ryan, and thank you, Mr. Proposo.
Thank you.
We're going to open up the chat now. So for people who are anxious to ask questions, they can chat their questions, and we'll have an opportunity for members of the different departments to answer the questions. So as we're opening the chat, I'm going to ask Mr. Martin from the marketing department to jump on and join us.
Hello, Mr. Martin. Hope everyone is doing well tonight. And hopefully my audio doesn't drop off, but if so, Mr. Barton, your frame is right next to mine, so just give me a signal and I'll be able to see it, okay? All righty, so again, yes, my name is Mr. Martin, Rick Martin. I'm one of 4 marketing teachers. So for my segment, I'm gonna cover student activities, projects, skills, and responsibilities of our students, as well as credentials, co-op opportunities, and marketing careers. Before I jump into those sections though, let me quickly speak about our 4 marketing stores, which is our shop area. And that's actually what the 3 pictures are that you're looking at right now. So in the marketing education program, our shop has 4 stores. And our location in the school, it's often referred to as the marketing mall area. I'm just going to give you a very quick overview before I jump into the student responsibilities, since the stores are really the central part of our shop. So we'll start first with the varsity store, and those are those 3 pictures that are right now on your screen. And as you can see in those pictures, it's a lot of school branded items with the Greater Lowell Tech logo. So in the pictures, you can see like some sweatshirts, shirts, sweatpants, coffee mugs, and our senior class sweatshirt as well. And you can see a student right there engaging with a customer. And I'll get a little bit more into that with the student responsibilities. In addition, we have a holiday store, and it's a seasonal store that changes around, starts off with Halloween, Thanksgiving, winter and spring holidays. We also have a gift store, which is small gift related items. And something that's very special and unique to our store is that we have a CVS located in our marketing education program. We are one of the only schools in the New England area and probably in the country that has a CVS store in our school. So in case you're wondering why, it's based upon a Greater Lowell Tech alumni that is now an executive at CVS. And based on his success at our school, he's now an executive at CVS. And to pay it forward, he put a CVS location in our school. And all the items in that CVS store are donated by CVS. And the proceeds from the store benefits marketing students with CVS scholarships, which is an excellent opportunity. So these stores, these 4 stores, are real live businesses. Our customers are staff, students, and pre and post-COVID external customers as well. So the students, they operate the stores. They operate them as individual businesses with the guidance and facilitation from us as teachers, as well as upper class mentor students. So each of these 4 stores, they all have a student manager and a student assistant manager for the shop week. And the good thing is it rotates from one week to the next. So students are always being exposed to different opportunities within the stores. Now, what do they focus on? Well, certainly one of the basics as soon as they get in is customer service. So the marketing students, they learn professional customer service business skills. For example, this week, students are creating a rewards loyalty program for our customers. So always making sure and thinking ahead, how can we focus on, the customer? And there is a Skills USA, which Greater Lowell Tech participates in, and our marketing students always do incredible in this customer service, often winning gold and silver medals in the districts. Now, with the school store operations, the students, they select the products that we're going to sell in the stores. So how do they do that? Well, we teach the students how to do market research. So for example, going back to the senior sweatshirt, our marketing students will go and they'll create some different types of senior sweatshirts. And then what they'll do is they'll post the different versions on X2. X2 is our internal system where all the students can go and then vote on which is the most popular. So that way they're learning critical marketing research skills as well as target market skills that are skills that they can transfer when they do this later on as a career. Now, the students also work with our vendors to purchase the products and the items in the stores. So they use processes like, completing purchase orders. And then once we receive the items, they price them, they prepare them. They also do visual merchandising to be able to display them as well. We also do social media advertising. We have 5 monitors throughout the stores. So the students using the Adobe suite, using Photoshop and Premiere, will create print ads, static ads, as well as videos. So in our shop, we have a green screen and high technology cameras where they'll be able to display, take pictures of the products, upload them to the monitors, as well as to our social media sites. So Greater Lowell, we have a Twitter site, Instagram, and Facebook site. In addition to that, they learn different technology skills such as Microsoft Office. When they're junior, they're learning the accounting as well. We have a lot of students that later go on into accounting, so we make sure that they have financial literacy. And finally, as a senior, we teach them entrepreneurship skills because we know that later on, many of our students will go out and create businesses. In addition to that, there is the Lowell 5 Savings Bank located in our school. And the marketing students are the students that participate and work within those the bank as well. So another great opportunity. Now, getting to credentials, the students have cyber safety awareness training and certification, communications training and certification, employability skills certification, financial literacy, and of course OSHA, which is many of the other ones that they learn. Now, the co-op experience. We typically have more co-op job opportunities than we do for students, which is great for the students because they have many different options to choose from. Some of our employers are such as CVS, which is in our school, Enterprise Bank, Lowell 5, Gaspari's, Precision, doctor's offices such as Dr. Romanowski in Yamajala, Market Basket, Eastern Bank, National Carpet, and Welch Welding. When we talk about career opportunities, many of our students go into many different fields such as accounting, financial, and banking. They go into advertising, digital and social media, as well as they could be maybe a product manager or a business development manager, as well as marketing, communication, and also many of them will turn into entrepreneurs well in starting their businesses. Thank you, Mr. Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. I do want to open it up to a few members Well, before I do this, I want to give a few members an opportunity to maybe share some things. I think Mr. Riley's on the line, who I think wanted to make a contribution to culinary arts. Mr. Riley? I'm gonna find Mr. Riley here. Oh, there he is. Mr. Riley, you should be able to unmute at this time.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. How are you?
Guys, I was answering, someone named Jenna had a question for one of the hospitality instructors, but I'm not sure that they saw the question. So I wanted to let her know that the hospitality program works with the culinary program a lot, daily, weekly, and basically all school year when they're not out at the hotel properties. And there is a lot of customer interaction. So if Jenna is still there, I just was kind of typing that back to her so she could get an answer.
Okay, thank you. So what we're gonna do is as far as to be faithful to the process, I'm gonna introduce Miss Martinez, and she's gonna talk about admissions for a bit. And then we're gonna shift over to allow Mr. Kalunga to speak in Spanish and Portuguese about questions. And then I'll invite different members of the departments to answer questions, okay? So if I can have Ms. Martinez jump on and talk about the admissions process, that would be great. And then we'll shift over.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Lisa Martinez. I'm the Director of Admissions here at Greater Lowell Technical High School. And so I'd like to talk a little bit about our admissions for Greater Lowell. If you go on our website, there's an admissions menu there. And there are about 10 links on that. And so the first link is the admissions link. And that's where you would see our online student application, as well as if you haven't seen enough of our recruitment video that was that started off our session this evening, that recruitment video is also there. After that, we have our Greater Lowell information sheet, and here you'll find our most recent school information, and it's in multiple languages: English, Khmer, Portuguese, and Spanish. Then next, you'll also see our most frequently asked questions about admissions. They have the questions and answers there of our frequently most asked questions regarding admissions. After that, you'll see there's an application for admissions. This is the link that gives you the ability to download and print an application in another language, such as Khmer, Portuguese, and Spanish. For all other applications, we have our online application for admission. And all applicants are required to apply online except for the applicants that have special circumstances. If you need help applying online, you can give us a call in the admissions office. We're available 7:30, 3 o'clock every day. And if you need some assistance with your application, we have a fantastic team that's here to help and get you applied. Once you successfully apply online, you'll know that by receiving a 6-digit confirmation code. And if you can keep that code for all communication with Greater Lowell, that will help speed up the process if you have any questions. We also have a link for our virtual tours, our 8th grade tours. Earlier in the year, if you are attending our sending schools, you were able to view the tours through your middle school. And so you were also able to visit the 23 technical programs in exploratory by viewing a video. And then we also added this evening the actual webpage for the 8th grade open house. We added the webpage that has our resource guide. So if you happen to want to speak with our athletic director or any one of our directors, you'll see their contact information is there, as well as the information guide, as well as the tours, as well as some of the videos that you'll see. And then finally, for the last two links, we have our what we would call our admission scoring rubric, as well as our admission plan. Our admission plan is again has multiple languages. So we have Khmer, Portuguese, Spanish, as well as we separated the admissions scoring rubric from the admissions plan. The rubric will sort of is transparent. We show you how we score each application that we receive here at Greater Lowell Technical High School. And what it is a combination of attendance, behavior, as well as academic achievement, and the local guidance counselor recommendation. So that's the admissions scoring and admissions plan. So the deadline to be considered for first round admissions is February 1st. And so please apply before then. You can apply right now is where you actually found the link today. Excuse me. The link you're able to apply right online. So you'll want to do that as soon as possible if you're interested in applying to Greater Lowell Technical High School. Again, first round admissions by February 1st. You'll be hearing whether you were accepted or whether the application is waitlisted by the first week of March. Okay, and we encourage you to apply.
Okay, great. I just want to introduce Mr. Colunga at this time, who can talk to our Spanish and Portuguese speaking families so they can learn a little bit about how they can ask questions.
Absolutely.
Mr. Colunga?
Thank you, Mr. Barton. A todas las personas que hablan español, mi función en la escuela es facilitar la comunicación para que sea más fluida y más exacta. Pueden ustedes encontrarme enviándome un email o enviando un telefonema. Con muchísimo gusto vamos a apoyarlos en todo lo que podamos. Para todas as pessoas que falam português, Ricardo Colunga, eu falo português. A minha responsabilidade é fazer a comunicação com aquelas pessoas que falam português muito mais nítida, muito mais exata. Vocês podem ligar para mim ou enviar um e-mail a meu endereço que eu vou publicar aqui agora. Muito obrigado. Thank you, Mr. Barton.
Thank you, Mr. Colunga. So we have a few questions. One of the questions associated with our culinary arts uniforms. Maybe Mr. Riley or Mr. Matalonis wants to jump in. They want to know, what do you wear? What's the uniform in culinary arts?
So we provide kitchen aprons and towels, but the culinary students would be expected to get a hat, a jacket, and pants, also shoes, non-slip. And since clothing is pretty personal, then they're expected to bring that in. And we do have some times where students, where the competition, have the opportunity to win a chef's jacket or a hat. So sometimes they do, especially in their junior year, senior year.
Okay, thank you. Question on when will we know if we're accepted? When will students know if they're accepted? Maybe Ms. Martinez can answer that.
Sure, and we send out acceptance letters and waitlist letters on the first week of March.
Okay, great. Additional questions? I think we've answered some early childhood questions. Are there any other questions? Feel free to chat them if you have them. And we can try to answer them. Okay. I'd like to take this time. I know some of you may have seen some inappropriate language that was shared on the chat. So we want to apologize for that and let you know that we've removed that individual or individuals who are responsible for that. So again, we apologize for that. And we would, we're unhappy that that happened. One of the questions is, what do I do if I missed yesterday's presentation? We will be posting that on our school's YouTube channel. and we'll be embedding it into our website. So hopefully by the end of the week, we will be able to, you'll be able to see the presentations from last evening and this evening and tomorrow evening. One of the questions is associated with what would make someone not accepted into the school. So I'll turn that over to Ms. Martinez, who can talk a little bit about the criteria for admission.
Well, so the criteria for admission, again, is our whole admissions plan is on our website, and it's under the admissions tab. And the criteria is really, it's a combination of academic achievement, as well as attendance and discipline, and finally, a guidance counselor recommendation. Once you apply to the school, we request this information from your sending school, so you don't have to do anything. We actually do that. Everybody is processed with the same rubric, and that's visible again on our website under the admissions tab.
Ms. Martinez, how many students were accepted last year?
Last year, 595 students were accepted at Greater Lowell Technical High School. We try to accept as many students as we can. Also, a part of the criteria is you need to have passed math and English for the year. So if you are accepted to Greater Lowell, you still have to pass math and English for the year in order to keep your acceptance.
Okay, great. Do you need a letter of recommendation?
Yes, we actually request that from your sending school. Your guidance counselor supplies us with that guidance recommendation. So you don't have to do anything. We actually get that for you.
Great. There's a question here about a code that may have been sent out at some point. Are you familiar with that, Ms. Martinez?
I am not. That might be the 6-digit number. So if you already applied, there's a 6-digit number that you get from Greater Lowell Technical High School. You want to keep that number because that's if you call us or you need to communicate with us, that's the number that you would give us so that we can that's an identifying number just for your application.
Okay, thank you. I think there's a question about guidance counselors at the middle school, and I think probably the best answer would be for students to reach out to their middle school guidance counselor to help them with the application process, or they can certainly email Ms. Martinez, whose email is on the last slide, or me, and we can help you with the application process. Is that right, Ms. Martinez?
Yes.
Okay, great. If there aren't any other, I think as we wind down for our presentation, I want to ask Mr. Harrison if he can bring everyone into gallery view so we can have the personal services department. First, I'd like to see how many graduates of Greater Lowell Tech there are in the personal services department, if they could wave to us. We have representatives from cosmetology, several representatives from culinary arts. Great, super. And if the personal services department can just wave goodbye, that would be terrific. So thank you very much. We thank you for your presentations, and we appreciate it. Great. Have a nice evening. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. Oh, I'm sorry. And you can certainly tune in tomorrow night where we'll talk about academic support services, sports, and athletics. So we hope to see you tomorrow. Thank you.